Okay, guys, I have two sections left, and this should be about a 20-minute read. We're on subject 3, the last part. We're going to finish the last part of the Class 3 operations, starting with 1504, 101, 92 F 1504, and then 1505, and then we'll be done for the book. Operating force provided bulk fuel storage distribution system, given the required to perform the fuel operations. The fuel operations and field environmental personnel materials required to perform the task. 6 military occupational specialists qualified as soldiers at risk procedures applicable materials safety data sheets personnel protective equipment force provided bulkware fuel storage distribution system forward area refueling system force provided fuel system fire extinguisher spill contaminant cleanup extra pipe fittings of the drains berm drains 210K bladder prefabricated as supports 1 5-ton facility forklift. A faculty response to spill prevention control countermeasure plan, the unit hazardous material management, the policy unit standing procedure oral written operation order DA form 20404, equipment inspection worksheet DA form 598AE, inspection maintenance worksheet DA form 5987E, motor equipment dispatch DA form 3643, daily issuing petroleum product full access of all reference material. Layout and equipment is all selected by the site of the performer, operator preventing maintenance check services, operator maintain fuels accountability record to dismantle the force provider bulk fuel storage distribution system, adhering to the material safety data sheets without injury to the personnel, damage to the equipment or the environment. Failure to perform this task may result in damage to the equipment, injury, or to death of personnel in the task. As with any task involving extensive handling of petroleum products, make sure the equipment is on hand and contained with the cleanup spills. Unpack and inspect position equipment that convenient access before beginning the task. Review the requirements of the task performing to ensure the drip pans, waste fuel containers are appropriate size to contain the waste fuels generated by the task. Use the drip pans at any points of the spill likely to occur, such as a nozzle or a valve. Continually observe the equipment taking care with the performing to minimize the possibility of petroleum spills. If the spills occur, immediately stop the operation, take the stops and contain it, and clean up the spill. Report all spills immediately to the supervisor. Apply risk management procedures. Understand and execute risk management procedures. Risk control command guidance directed by higher headquarters. Success variability. Continue to see report risk reduction as measured appropriate by the chain of command. Read, understand, and use unit installation standard authorization orders requirement for acquisition, storing, handling, and disposing of hazardous materials. Where appropriate, personnel protective equipment is required. Gloves, goggles, hearing protection need to be worn performing any fuel operation. Before, during, and after operations, preventive maintenance check services components according to the appropriate technical manuals. DA Form 204 2404 and DA Form 5988E. Any faults found within the performance maintenance check services. Unload and using forklift inventory of the fault fuel bulk fuel equipment. The force bulk equipment is on according to layout plan. Inspect the clear and inside the berms, the debris, sharp objects installing the berm liner and collapsible tank. If the module system cold weather, the MSCGW configuration, the bulk storage distribution subsystem assembled in the same way the following steps. However, the tanks of the FPFS assembly are placed on the 6-inch gravel. Set up the force provided bulk fuel storage distribution system. Install berm liners, tanks, position berm liners inside the berms. Secure the sandbags, position 10,000 gallons of tanks, berms. Ensure the drain valve is located in the receiving drain. Fold the liner of the berm. Fold the liner back in the bag. Fold the liner in the bag back in the dig foot, 2 by 2 foot by 8-inch hole to the hose to drain the elbow. Flip the berm line down and place the three sandbags to support the elbow. Perform the step on the bag number. Attach the drain hose on the berm line. Secure the edges of the berm line with the sag and bags. Repeat the same step for bag number 2. Position, connect, and drain assembly of each tank. There are 2 types of drain assemblies for the bag. Follow the procedures A and B for the appropriate bag. Remove the drain plug for the drain fitting. Screw in the male fittings on the end of the drain hose at the drain fitting and attach the drain control valve to the other end of the drain hose. B. Remove the drain cap for the drain fitting. Connect the 2-inch female elbow with attached to the 2-inch 10-foot drain hose and an elbow. Attach the drain control valves on the other end of the drain hose. Place the elbow in a hole. Support the sandbags as needed to ensure the draining footage is lowest part of the bag. B. Assemble the fuel discharge sides of the tank position connected by the 4-inch filler, the elbow, the filter adapter to each tank position, the connection 2 section 4-inch 10-foot suction hose at the filler elbow, install the 4-inch gate at the end of each filler hose, install the 4-inch hose, female male discharge elbow on the onto discharge adapter tank. Ensure the T connection, all the valves of the hose connection are kept from dirt, and install the D connection is laid off the clean rock and board so they kept out of the dirt and mud. Position the connection 2 section 4-inch 10-foot long suction hose to discharge the elbow. Then connect the 4-inch gate of the valve to the end of the hose. Install the 4-inch female, the 2-inch male adapter to the gate valve to discharge side of the tank. Connect the 4 section 2-inch 5-foot long suction of the adapter start discharge hose to the electron of each tank. Install the 2-inch butterfly valve to the each discharge hose from each tank. 9. Connect the 9. Connect the butterfly valve with the T connecting fitting. Ensure the T connecting is raised off the ground. Force provided currently on the 2 distribution and use the standard the fare system for the force provided fuel system. The force provided fuel system is a racking fuel system replacing the Ford arming refuel equipment system. Following the procedures in Step C of the Ford arming refueling equipment system, Step D, the force provided fuel system. Assemble the fare system position connected one of the 2-inch 5-foot long suction hoses to the end of the T fitting to position on the level ground at the end of the suction hose with the inlet port pump facing toward the fuel tanks. Connecting the hose of the connections of the pump inlet. Ensure that the inlet of the pump is forward facing the T fitting the joint of the 2 tanks. Position the connecting the 2 5-foot sections of the suction hose of discharge end of the pipe of the pump discharge. 5. Position the filter separator on level ground at the end of the suction hose leading to the discharge port of the pump filter. The separator inlet port should be the facing pump, driving 1 ground rod nozzle hanger and at least 3 feet into the ground halfway between the pump and the filter separator. Attach the ground clips to the grounding rod to the pump, the filter separator. Connect the 2-inch 5 suction hoses with the outlet of the pump to the inside of the filter. Connection 2-inch of the 5-foot suction hose to the outlet of the filter separator. 9. Connect the water detector kit adapter suction hose. Connect the Y fitting to the other end of the water detector kit adapter. Connect the 2-inch 50-foot discharge assemblies to the opening Y ending fitting. Lay out them out of the 2 fueling sites. Lay out the 2-inch female coupler, 1.5-inch male coupler adapter, 1.5-inch nozzle on each of the fuel points. Connect to the 2-inch fuel coupler to the 1.5-inch male coupler adapter, 1.5-inch nozzle of each fuel points. Make a minimum space of 25 feet between fueling points. Walk about 10 feet between the Y fitting. Drive a ground rod nozzle hanger and at least 3 foot young on the ground. Hang the nozzle on the hanger and repeat the point. At the ground cable, the ground rod, the nozzle to each of the 2 fueling points. Assemble the the force provided fuel system. Warning: four personnel are requested to lift the pumping assembly. Failure to observe the warning may result in injury. Position pump assembly when indicated in stacking. There should be no more than 20 feet of the fuel source. Install the 2-inch elbow onto the 4-inch 2-inch reducer. Lay out and connect 2 2-inch 10-foot discharge hoses on the 2-inch elbows. Install the 2-inch fuel distribution tube, the butterflies, attach to the end of the discharge hose. Lay out the connection of the 2-inch 10-foot discharge hose to the 2 connecting fittings. 6. Connect the other end of the force provider fuel pump inlet port. Extreme care must be taken to prevent injury to the hands of death by driven on the driving ground rods. Do not position the hands between the ram and the driver collar. Gloves should be worn to avoid the possible stroke between the items of the ground rod. Ensure all connections are tight. Failure to do so may serve as an injury or death performing the result for the explosion caused by static electric discharge. Install ground rods at least 3 feet in the earth, no more than 3 feet of the force provided fuel system. Pump assembly caution: make a minimum of space of 25 feet between fueling points. Driving ground round nozzle standing in approximately 40 feet away from the force pump fueling system. Unwind the fuel hosing from the reel. Install the fuel nozzle. Place the nozzle on the stand. Replace on the ground cable and clamp cables to the nozzle stand until needed. Prepare fueling sites. Position fire extinguishers, drip pan, absorbent material, and 5-gallon water can be a deterioration. 3 place hold 6 feet on both sides of the fuel tank and string between the two of the poles. On the maximum amount of the fuel tank should be filled accordingly to the TM 10, 54, 32, 10, 12, 4 feet. Check the valves fitting in the broken handled wheels. Check Y fittings, YT fittings on the proper connection. Evidence of the leakage. Check the suction hose and discharge from the hose of the cut, dry rot, blistering, damaged clamps of the fuel hose, presence, condition of the dust plug. Ensure ground cables are placed and clean. Check cleanliness of the strainer. Check the fire extinguisher condition. The date of the inspection before, during, and after operation. Preventive maintenance. Check service TM 1054 32 10 12, TM 490 30 229 12, and PTM 4 10 54 19 206 and 13 record. Any defects DA form 204 and DA form 5988E broken. Report to supervisor. Receive bulk fuel. Check the valves fueling to the broken handle, the broken wheels. Check all fittings for proper connection and evidence of leakage. Check for suction discharge hoses cut, dry rots, blistering, damaged claps. Check the fuel nozzle presence condition of the dust plugs. East ground cables are in place and check cleanliness and strainer. Guide bulk fuel supply vehicle to the side of the 10,000-gallon tank. Connection to the suction hose on the side of the discharge hose on the tank should request the delivery driver upon discharge valve of one section is secure. Open the gate of the fuel on the fill side of the storage tank and allow fuel to flow through the truck storage tank. Close the gate of the valve of the fill side of the tank before the top of the tank touches the string. Open the discharge and cap discharge on the delivery vehicle without spilling any fuel. Cap the fill hose. Reopen the fill side of the gate valve to permit any of the let the fill of the hose to flow into the tank. Walk the hose toward the side of the gate of the valve to force any of the fuel into the storage tank. Repeat steps for other 10,000-gallon tank. Prepare bulk fuel storage distribution subsystem operation following the procedures in Step A for the forward area refueling systems and Step B for the force provided fuel system. The prepare fare system. Ensure the pump is primed. If no, remove the priming top of the pump, the fill the prime, and to replace the primary priming plug only if when required. Only open the filter separator air vent of the pump, pushing it down onto the locks and place and closing the water drain valve, turning the handle into the right of the filter separator. Open the gate of the valve, discharge at one of the bulk fuel tank. Open the butterfly valve of the T-vat, hitting start of the pump engine in and start the pump, engage and select the appropriate speed based on the full lift. Pump the engine to the idle speed of the lift of 2 feet less and run the engine above the idle speed less and throttle to the lift of 2 feet of the 5 feet. Run the pump at a full throttle for full 5 feet or more. Reduce engine speeds upon hearing the engine sound. Slow down. Engine has reached full prime as slow as the filter can slowly close the air vent of the filter separator at the first time the fuel, then check the pressure gauge. Check the pressure gauge for the following: green 0 to 20 psi clean, yellow 20 to 35 psi and change at the end of operation, red 35 to psi and above, change it once. Take the samples from each of the nozzle of the test the coordinates as soon as the system is full of fuel. Prepare the fuel provided fuel system. Connect to the force provided fuel system assembly power cord to the nearest PDISE M100. Momentarily turn on the power switch to verify the power operator rotation of the pump. Primarily pump the operation of the primary ports, filling the pump with the fuel. Place the supply valves in the open position. Open the gated valve of the discharge end of the bulk fuel and open the butterfly valve of the T valve. Check all the fuel lines connecting the fuel leaks. Tighten the connections as necessary. Turn on the pump power switch to open the vent location on the top of each filter. Allow the air vent to fill up. Fully close the vent. The fully begins to flow with the vent. Place the nozzle in approved fuel container. At least let air escape from the fuel line. When the fuel begins to flow with the nozzle, release the hand grip to shut off. Take the fuel samples from each of the nozzles to the test communication as soon as the system full is full of fuel. 10. Dispense. The procedure of dispensing are basically the same for both fare and in the force provided fuel system. Position spill container under the port of each of the vehicle. Refuel the fire extinguisher when each of the is reach of fueling operation. Ground vehicle when the ground is clipped from the nozzle hanger. Remove the dust cap from the fuel. The nozzle receptacle cap from the customer valve. vehicle. Insert the nozzle with the filter port of the maintaining metal contact between the nozzle and the fuel receptacle during the entire fueling. Signal the pump operator to turn on the power switch and squeeze the nozzle trigger to fill the vehicle up almost to full. For the fare system, the pump operator increases the pump and engages engines and speeds at full throttle. Release the trigger, signal the pump operator to turn off the power switch, remove the nozzle from the fare system. The pump operator decreases the engine speed of the idle before the shutting off the engine of the pump. Then reinstall the dust cap, the filter, or the cap of the vehicle. Replace the nozzle on the ground rod. Move the fire extinguisher spill container to the original position. Remove the ground clip of the vehicle clamp at the back of the nozzle. Ensure the DA Form 3643, the Field Manual 1067-1, Chapter 3. Clean up the disposals of any of the fuel according to the spills contingency. Dismantle the force bill provider bulk fuel storage distribution subsystem. The following procedure: A, the fare system, and B, the FPCS. FPS. F, forward power provider force provided fuel system. Dismantle the forward area refueling equipment system. Shut down the pump engine to close the discharge gates of each fuel tank and the butterfly valves of the T-fitting. Squeeze the filter nozzle to the spill container to drain the fuel. Position the filter separator so that the drain water valve is off over the spill container. Steadily fill the filter separator during the draining process to avoid the spills damage to the equipment of the injury personnel. Leave the grounding cables connected to the bonding ground rods, ground components as long as possible to avoid due to electric shock. Open the air vent to the filter separator and water the drain valves, turning the hand wheel to the left. Drain separator 1 to the drain, close to the drain valve. Position the filter separator so the outlet port is very over the spill container. Disconnect the suction hose from the filter separator outlet of the caps of the hose and the outlet ports. Reposition the separator so that the inlet port is over the container. This disconnects the hose from the inlet port and the cap of the hose. Ensure the separator is drained and plugged in port. Inlet port. Close the air vent of the valve. Separate the back of the ground. Disconnect the ground cable. Place the spill container under the Y fitting. Disconnect the right discharge hose from the Y cap of the fitting. Hold the opening of the discharge hose inside the spill container. Remove the ground cable of the round rod from the filler hose. Remove the filler hose from the end of the discharge hose of the over pail and spill container. Ensure soldiers only remove nozzle discharge hose as they are being disconnected. Y fitting disconnected at each end of the hose of the Y fitting is placed over the spill container. Stretch the hose for the full length of the nozzle end of the least to shoulder high. Walk through the full towards the Y fitting. Drain fuel in the spill container. Cap the male end of the hose. Use the reel. The hose start at the male end of the lay the hose at the ground cap of the female end. Remove the cap of the Y fitting. Hold the Y fitting of the spill container. Read the 10s and 10 through 15. Dismantle the left of the discharge from the entering the hose. The female end of the hose is over the drip pan while they roll the hose. Raise the suction hose. Remove the caps. Drains the hoses. Performance step 18. Disconnect the Y-fitting water adapter from the suction hose cap and plug the Y-fitting into the cap of the end of the suction hose. Place the spill container under the T connection and 2-inch suction hose. Disconnect the suction hose of the T fitting. Tilt the pump up towards the fitting of the draining of the fuel from the pump hose. Disconnect the suction hose from the pump inlet cap of the hose inlet port. Cap hoses between pump and the T-fitting. Place the spill container under the 2-inch suction hose at the outlet of the discharge side of the pump and remove the cap of the drain of the hose. Till the pump towards the spill container. Drain the fuel pump of the hose. Disconnect the suction hose of the pump outlet. Raise the suction hose to the drain. Cap both ends of the hose. Remove the ground cable and the rod. Place the spill container under the fitting of between the 2-inch, 4-inch reducer of each tank and disconnect the reducer valves.
Don't forget to take your meds.
Alright. Reducer from the gate valves. Hold open the suction hose of the spill container, raising the reducer hose of the shoulder at the height of the tank number. Remove the butterfly valve. Walk the hose of the spill container. Disconnect the hose cap all the ends. Dismantle the forward force bulk fuel system. Stop fueling operations. Warning: some fuel spillage may occur whenever couplings are open, being prepared to close, like residual fuel from the use with holes with a pail and rags. Failure to observe the warning may result in environmental equipment contamination and as potential fire hazard. Close the discharge gates at each fuel tank of the butterfly valves at the T-fitting. Squeeze the filler nozzle in the spill container of the drain flow. full. Fuel. Prepare the pump assembly for the storage shipment as follows. Turn off the pump switch. Disconnect the power assembly power cord from the power source. Disconnect the fuel feeder from the hose of the pump assembly. Drain fuel from the hose in proper fuel connection. Open the vent of the top filters. Place the connect and under the drain valve at each filter. Open the drain valve. Disconnect the nozzle distribution hoses. Walk off the hose to the filter to the drain. Then reel the fuel distribution hose back into the reel. Open the priming port. Place a container under the pumping drain. Open the pumping drain valve. Reel grounding cables back into the cable reel. Recover the ground rod. Disconnect the 2-inch fuel hose. Disconnect the fuel distribution T and 2-inch valves. Place components including fire extinguisher into the pump and equipment tray. Place over the cover of the pump and assembly. Dismantle the tanks. Raise the gate of the valve. Take tank number 2 shoulder high. Remove the valve. Walk the hose toward the tank discharge elbow to permit any residual fuel for the 4-inch hose to drain into the tank. Disconnect the elbow from the tank to cap. Disconnect the hose and cap. Then remove the cap from the safety air of the vent valve. Disconnect the fill elbow and hose the hose shoulder high. Walk those twice and close the gate of the valve. Disconnect the black hose. Repeat the steps on the tank number 1. Follow these steps for the same procedures to remove the fill side of the valve hoses and elbows. Warning: do not use fuel collected in the spill container until it has been sampled, tested, or found to be unusable. Perform after operation performance maintenance check service according to TM 10 54 19 206 13 TM 493029 229 12 and P. Report any defects at DA Form 2404 DA Form 5988E. Report any defects to the supervisor. Fold the 10,000 gallon tanks. Clean the components of the fuel residual required as the berm liners to contain any that contain hazardous waste. Clean and fold the berm liners as required. Dispose of the contaminated fuel according to the spill contingency plan. Fill 500 gallon collapsible fuel drum. The TQG does not actually run directly off the 500-gallon collapsible fabric drums, but rather use the drum to refill their own internal tank whenever the level falls into low. Using the towing yoke and appropriate vehicle transportation drum and bulk diesel fuel facility in accordance with TM 10 811 0210 14 and P. Ensure the pumping assembly is not operating and gate valve is on. The discharge on the side of the tank are closed. Position the nozzle over the barrel and the pail. Squeeze the nozzle handle. Walk out the hose within the filter separator and the nozzle. Remove the nozzle discharge either the bulk diesel branch leg or using care to collect any of the spillage from the hose. Immediately install the pressure control short hose on the hose. Connect the short hose to the coupling on the drum. Open the hand of the wheel on the drum. Open the valve, stormling the pumping assembly to accordance TM 10 4930 238 12 and P. Fit drum in accordance to TM 10 811 0201 14 and P. When fuel is complete, stop pumping assembly according to TM 10 4930 238 12 and P. Close hand wheel. Disconnect the short hose from the drum using the collect any residual from the hose. Transport fill the drum according to TM 10 811 0210 14 and P. Power generated personnel shall position the fuel drum back into service in accordance with the TM 10 541 9206 13. Remove pressure control short hoses from the hose. Immediately install the new nozzle onto the hose. Be prepared to catch any fuel leakage that may occur. And note that the information on the proper fuel accountability forms. Reported to the supervisor. Evaluation and preparation. See task and condition standards. Applied risk management procedure. Read and understand unit and installation and standardize preparation requirements for requisitions, storing, handling, and disposing of hazardous materials or appropriate personnel protective equipment. Performed before, during, and after operations. Preventive maintenance check services on system components according to the appropriate technical manuals and noted the DA Form 2404 and DA Form 5988E. Any defaults will be found while performing the preventive maintenance check services. Unloaded inventory of the fuel, force pumped fuel equipment using a forklift. Place the force pumped equipment on the site accordingly to the layout plan. Set up the force bulk fuel storage distribution subsystem using the FAIR system and the and the force bulk fuel storage. Receive bulk fuel. Prepare the bulk fuel storage distribution subsystem for operation using the FAIR and the F system and the FPFS. Dismounted fuel using the FAIR system and the FPFS. Dismantle fork bulk fuel storage distribution system, fare system of the fuel forward supply fueling system. Dismantle tanks to perform the preventive maintenance check services on the force-provided equipment. Fold the 10,000-gallon tanks. Clean the components of the fuel residual as required. Clean the fold of the berm liners as required. Dispose of the contaminant according to the spill contingency plan. Fill the 500-gallon fuel drum as required. Soldier goes with the pass. Soldier go if he's passed. Soldier no go if it's failed. If it's no go, show the soldier what was done wrong and how to do correctly.